Coach, having had a few days to kind of go over what happened this past weekend. Couple of really tough, hard-fought games by your guys. The effort, incredible. Still comes up just a little bit short, but you got to be pleased with what you saw and what you maybe can build on as you move forward these final, month or so of the season.
Yeah, I agree with that, Wads. I mean, Wednesday is a little bit different than Saturday night after the game, Friday night after the game. The videotape showed us that we gave ourselves 2 opportunities to win games this weekend, and we came up short. Unfortunately, that video has been consistent over the last 3 weeks for sure. I didn't love our effort Friday night against Niagara, but outside of that, we're talking about a 6-8 minute period, 6-8 minutes here, a period there, and pretty minimal at that as far as not playing the way that we want to play. And with all that being said, that no one wants to talk about except internally is 6 people that we expect to be helping not playing. So it's where it becomes difficult, and I've said this before, is the boys are doing everything we're asking them to do and the results aren't there. So then what happens is you start to lose trust in what's being told to you. And that just makes you normal. And what we're trying to do is plead with them not to lose trust in what we're telling them. And hopefully they're taking enough from going head to head with all these top teams long stretches. As we saw with North Dakota and Colorado College and Duluth, some of these top guys don't need much. We had the chances in our favor Saturday night, and we lose 4-1 with an empty net. We scored a goal on the power play. So there was. It's difficult, but it's we've got to stay with it. We've got to stay focused here and not get too caught up. And we truly have to cut yesterday loose. That is probably the biggest takeaway for me. We have to cut it loose, whether it's Friday night into Saturday into the next week. We have to cut it loose and focus on the task at hand, which right now is St. Cloud State, and even before that is tomorrow's practice. And that's where we are.
Talking to some of the guys, they were talking about how the preparation for going into North Dakota started with the practices, and the practices were good. They were high level, and obviously that's what you want to build on as you get to the game. So even though you were limited with the amount of players that you had, was there also a mentality of a circle the wagons, kind of it's us against the world?
Well, we haven't taken that. We've kind of taken as coaches. We've taken it's a new day, and we need them to be willing to prepare and all the same things we do. But obviously they've done that. Our practices for this whole season have been, for the most part, really, really good. More than generally speaking, like really good. It's really difficult to practice with 11 forwards the way we want to practice and intend to practice, and we still were able to get something accomplished. And I believe that's only going to get better as we get more and more healthy, and as we get through next week, which is a week off for us before the last push with the regular season and playoffs. So I've been totally encouraged and happy with the way we've prepared. And that's a tribute to those guys. I think we've focused on, the guys playing, not the guys not playing. That's been our approach. And, the things you mentioned, that would be more from a player's side. But I think they've done a good job of not getting too high or too low based on whatever, based on injury, based on result, based on whatever. And we've just kind of kept playing and kept pushing forward, and that's been good.
Coach, last time out against St. Cloud, close one on Friday. Saturday got away, but that Saturday game was Bruno's first action, and battling through a number of things early in the season. We've talked multiple times about him being a gamer and ready to go, but is there an extra added motivation for him this week going into?
Well, you'd have to ask him that, Drew. I don't know that, but the reality of the second night, yes, the first night was hard fought. They scored to make it 3-1. We scored late to make it 3-2, but a hard-fought game in a difficult place, a place where hasn't been fun, hasn't been friendly to us. It was something around 12 minutes to go in the second period. The shots were 11-10 for us. Score was 0-0. We have the puck on our stick, 6 feet inside our blue line. We turn it over, they score, it's 1-0. All of a sudden, you snap your fingers, which is what a good team like St. Cloud does, and now it's 3-0. One of those was a power play goal that had, kind of a seeing eye puck, and one was a puck Bruno would like to have, and I would consider probably should have had. Outside of that, everything was fine. And then at 3-0, now here the demons come and so on, and the game looks way worse than it was. But those are the facts. The motivation piece, I think Bruno wants to win hockey games. He's played better, and we've unfortunately said this before about our goaltending. They've played better than their numbers and their results say. But the results are the results. So I think that's where Bruno's mindset is. I don't think it's to show anybody or make amends for anything. I think Bruno wants to win games. He's proving every day that he's capable of helping us win games, and he gives us a chance to win games. And Friday will be the next opportunity.
Looking at what they can do, St. Cloud, they've got Miettinen and Kupka at the front line, and then they start a lot from Anhorn, the blue liners, another great, just said it last weekend, another great number 4 defenseman.
Yeah.
And what does that do for their offense as far as generating from that blue line?
Well, I think where St. Cloud's success starts is their winning pedigree. You look at the last 5 years, it's just nothing but winning, whether it's regular season or playoffs. So that's where it starts. And Miettinen, I look at, 14 as a guy who has been around, and everything that's happening good up front, number 14 is right in the middle of it. Their goaltending has been outstanding. It really has. The big boy, transferred, Bassey transferred, and he's been great. But then again, I think you mentioned this. I do think a lot starts with their back end. And Anhorn was a transfer who we saw him here last year, but we didn't see him there. He got injured, so he didn't finish the season. But then we saw him at the beginning of this year. I think he's leading their team with points, are right there. Their decor is really active, whether it be on the rush or the offensive blue line. They're just a really good. They're well coached, like everyone else in this league is well coached. They do a great job of pushing these guys. They play hard. So there's lots to be concerned about, just like last weekend, just like the next time we play after this weekend. But it is a group of defensemen that we have to be absolutely well aware of, and it is a group that has won a bunch, which again, I think that's where it starts. Their winning pedigree is real, and their confidence and their belief is something that they've earned. And just like North Dakota, we haven't earned it yet to find a way to win that game. We seem to be competing hard, but we need to believe and have confidence like these other teams have earned, and that's something that we're still trying to prove to ourselves.
St. Cloud on their home ice plays on the big sheet. Not many schools left now that play on the big sheet. Colorado College used to. They don't anymore, and other schools are going away from it. Is it a tougher transition to go from the small sheet to the big, or what they're going to have to do this weekend going from the big to the small?
I don't know that, Wads. I honestly don't know that. I've never had a home ice that has the big ice sheet, so I don't know what that would have been like. I do know it's difficult going from small to big, and they're really good at it because that's their home ice. What I've seen in my time here with St. Cloud in this building is hard-fought games. I mean, I think I look at last year's series here. It was ugly early on Friday, but then going into the third period, it was 4-3 for them, and I think it ended up 7-3, so it got away from us in the third, but in the third it was contested, or going into the third. And Saturday we won. And then before that, I think every game has been like tight, So I'm expecting it to be a tight checking series. They're proving that they can win tight checking games. And then I think they had a game against Omaha that got crazy. It was 6-5 or 7-6 or something. So they've proven that they can be in those games too. But that'd be more of a question for them. For us, we do it so rarely, and as you mentioned, we do it one time now. We go from our typical NHL quote unquote rink to the big sheet. We do it once for a 2-game series, so it's more of a question for them. I think they've got good enough players that they can be good players on an NHL size sheet and an Olympic size sheet. That's my belief. But we're expecting this to be a really difficult weekend against a really good team.
You mentioned it in the post game Saturday night. The crowd, it was so good to have that building packed again.
Yeah.
And whether it was North Dakota, whether it was honoring Coach Katie, whatever the case was, how much can we ask and try to plead to get the students to come back there and make that atmosphere like it was Saturday?
Well, I all we can do is say thank you for coming, and hopefully you had fun. And if you didn't, tell us why. And if it's based on results, well, I understand. I feel like, and I'll say this again, Wads. The only person that should be getting judged on winning and losing is me, and that's going to happen. I understand that, but we're in the entertainment business, man, and I hope the people that came to watch this past weekend were entertained. And as we know, there's choices, there's bowling, there's movies, there's other things to do. We want you to come to the game for a couple hours and cheer us on and have a good time and hopefully be entertained. I think both those games were entertaining games. I know Friday was. As difficult as that was for the home team, it was an entertaining game. And everyone seems to be having fun. So thank you for coming again. Hopefully you had a good time. If we can make it more of a good time, let us know, and we'll try to do that. But we that's all we can do. And I think what fans want is a group out there playing as hard as they can for each other and for the fans. And I hope that's what they feel they saw, and I'm hoping they see that again this weekend. That's what we can control, and we'll try to do that. You and I have seen this place rocking and rolling a bunch of times over the course of our time together, not just 5 years, but the 10 before that and the 10 in between. And it's a pretty cool spot when there's people in it, and it's a hard place to play. So thank you for coming, and hopefully you'll want to come back.
I got just one more for you. Last weekend, you go toe-to-toe with possibly the best team in the country with a depleted roster. Are you trending towards getting anybody back this weekend?
Yeah, we're trending, Drew. That's a fair question. We're trending. It's not I think right now of the six, Barbs and Ray are in the conversation. I think the next conversation will be Neaton and Hallen. And unfortunately, I just think, I think it's going to be decided that Michael Feenster's season is pretty much over, and Frankie, that's the path we're headed down. So that's kind of the trend. I think Barbs and Ray are in the conversation. Then we're still talking about week to week for Neaton and Hallen, and unfortunately, it's more long term for the other two. So any influx of energy and obviously Ray and Barb's what they've been for us is a good thing. And then a week off will give us some more time to hopefully get those other two guys back.
Hey, Axel, a couple of results close this past weekend against the number 2 team in the country in North Dakota. So as you kind of think back to the effort that you guys put in there, you have to be happy and very pleased, but does it also give you a little encouragement as you move forward to these final few weeks of the regular season?
Yeah, of course. We're really happy about the way we were working for each other out there last weekend. Obviously, we couldn't really get the results we wanted, but now we hopefully might get a couple of guys back too that have been injured, and we just keep playing our game, and hopefully the results will come.
And how about the effort that you guys put in there? How do you dig deep into something like that? I mean, does it just become the locker room that says we're playing for each other?
I think it all comes from the group itself. Obviously, coaches can say what they want, but the success comes from the group. And the last week, I think, both in practice, it started in practice. We started working hard, and we'll try to do that the whole year. But I feel like before the Nodak weekend, we had a really good week of just practice, and everyone was like, we got to step up here. And I feel like that kind of correlated with how we played the game too.
You mentioned hopefully getting a couple guys back this weekend, and last weekend everybody who could skate was dressed and skating and playing. So what does that mean to you and to the locker room to be able to get some of those guys back and start getting healthy?
Of course, they're key players for our team. We need them, especially here at the end of the season when we try to win as many games as possible. But I would say especially for the last week, we focused on everyone else had to step up. We know that they're top players on our team, but we need everyone to step up. So I feel like everyone did, and hopefully everyone can keep playing the same way they did with those guys added on to it.
So that leads me directly into my next question. Playing together, lines get shuffled as you try to cover for people that are out. D pairings get shuffled as you cover for people that are injured. How do you keep sort of that continuity, and how do you as players on the ice sort of work those guys back in and continue to keep that effort going?
I feel like since we know each other so well outside of the ice, it's kind of easy to get back into it, even if they're gone for a week or two. Obviously, they're, like I said, they're key players for our team, and we need them. But even if they're out, someone else might have to take their spot. But we've played hockey for our whole life, so I think it's kind of easy to just adjust for that.
I kind of hate to go in this direction, but I got to ask you, playing against your former teammate this past weekend, you've got the Swedish connection thing going there too, seeing Love in person, and he obviously Saturday night played very, very well, maybe the difference in the game when it was all said and done with. What was that like for you? I mean, how do you go from a teammate, friend, countryman to now being against him? It's almost more kind of like professional hockey than it was college hockey.
No, for sure. I would say as soon as the puck drops 7 p.m., I feel like everyone pressed the button. We try to beat him. And even if he's one of our really good friends, I think that probably gave us some extra energy, just try to beat him even harder. Obviously, he's a good friend of ours. And outside of the ice, he's a really good guy. So, like I said, he had a really good game Saturday, but I think we got in his head a little bit Friday, which probably correlate a little bit with the score too. So.
Oh yeah, and I think those two go together. And then, kind of a double-edged question: the fans were on him pretty good, former students, and that's what happens in professional sports as well. But then, how about the whole atmosphere of the building? Having
it was great. It was so fun to have all the students there, and also obviously there were some Nodek fans, but especially our student section was really good, and it was really fun to play in front of that many people at home.
Turning our attention to the opponent this weekend, St. Cloud, good team. We could say that every week, pretty much.
Yeah.
But what do you know about them, and what? How do your strengths play into this weekend?
I'll say our biggest strength is probably we can use the smaller ice sheet. They're used to play on the bigger ones, so we can try to get it to their net as much as possible. They obviously have a couple guys we have to look out for, but we're just trying to play our game, and they come from a pretty hard weekend last weekend, so hopefully we can take it to them right away and get it done in their zone and just go from there.
And one more question for me. With the way that you played last weekend and to come away with 1 point out of it, does that make you hungrier moving forward to show that you can go toe-to-toe with possibly the best team in the country? And does that make you hungrier going forward into this weekend and beyond? For sure.
We've talked about that the whole week too, that we can compete with everyone, and especially we showed it last week. And even if I had a couple guys out, we can stand toe to toe with each team in this league. So we're really happy about that, and hopefully we can build on that and have a really good weekend.